This video will explain what to expect if you have a pretrial conference scheduled in misdemeanor court in Marquette County. You should have received something in the mail that looks like this, which essentially says that you have a PT in person at a specific time and date in district court in Marquette County, Michigan. A pretrial conference is really a mandatory meeting between the prosecutor and the defense attorney. When you do go, you will go and you'll literally sit in the hallway. Your attorney will go in and talk with the prosecutor and then come out and talk with you. One important thing to remember is if you live outside of Marquette County or you have a good reason, you can request to appear at these over Zoom or by phone, but you have to make your attorney aware that you need to appear that way at least a week in advance so that they can arrange it properly. So as I said, you would go to the courthouse, you would sit in the hallway, and your attorney would go talk to the prosecutor. Prosecutor sits in a little room at the district court and has one of these pretrial conferences every 10 minutes. And one thing to consider is that the prosecutor reviews all the cases they're going to have for that day, the day before, sometimes the morning of, sometimes right there. So the prosecutor really hasn't had an opportunity to dig into your case, to think about what to do, or to take into account considerations that your attorney might be able to bring up. So this is really the opportunity where your attorney gets to talk with the prosecutor. There are a couple different things that can happen. The prosecutor can make a plea offer, or your attorney can negotiate a plea offer, and then that will be discussed with you. Your attorney can convince the prosecutor to dismiss the case. Your attorney can bring up issues with the disclosures, like there's missing video or missing laboratory reports. Or your attorney can simply say that we're going to go to trial on this, and they can set it for a trial date. Sometimes if you decide you want to take a plea on the day of the pretrial conference, you can go in front of a judge and you can make that plea and get the case wrapped up. Potentially that day, sometimes there needs to be another hearing. But one thing to consider if you are going to take a plea is the judges aren't available for these pretrial conferences, so you might have to wait around the courthouse for a little bit to be able to have that plea hearing. Most pretrial conferences don't involve you going into a courtroom, seeing a judge, or talking with a prosecutor. You only talk with your attorney. Another thing that can happen is they can just set another pretrial conference to try to negotiate some things or resolve some issues with disclosures. So it's a pretty low stress sort of hearing. You're really just sitting in the hallway. It's a required meeting between the prosecutor and your attorney to kind of move the case along. I hope this was helpful. Basically, to recap, it's a very simple hearing where you go in, you sit in the hallway, and your attorney talks to the prosecutor. Sometimes you'll set it for trial, sometimes you'll do a plea hearing there, and sometimes you'll just set another pretrial conference. And if your attorney is really doing their job well, they'll be able to get the case dismissed potentially at the pretrial conference. Again, if you need to appear by Zoom or over phone, make sure you tell your attorney at least a week in advance of that. Thank you.